Greetings fellow citizens. It is well known that Anonymous conducts operations against pedophiles, exposing and confronting the abusers and reporting their crimes against children. Those engaged in such action deserve much credit. But it's not just sexual abuse that demands attention from those who value human rights, liberty and equality. Minors are subjected to a range of violations, physical, emotional and psychological, all of which can be found in forced marriages, slave labor, and trafficking. There are thankfully those actively campaigning on such issues. And Anonymous will remain at the center of this activism. Corrupted and oppressive regimes also inflict trauma and misery upon children, as those who follow the situation in occupied Palestine will know. Israeli paramilitary have a disturbing record of cruel and violent behavior towards Palestinian youth. In Yemen, a nation under assault by Saudi Arabia and its Western allies, countless thousands of children are being killed by a combination of a constant aerial bombardment, famine and lack of water. Perhaps less known across Anonymous is the plight of Uyghur children in a Central Asian region once called East Turkestan, but renamed by the occupying Chinese regime as Xinjiang. Much excellent work on this subject is conducted by exiled Uyghur organizations and individuals. While once again activists at Tibet Truth have been at the forefront of raising awareness. It is a land in which the happiness and freedom its children once enjoyed has been replaced with fear and persecution. How did it get to this condition? Let's break this down. China's government launched several years back a policy of cultural eradication inside occupied East Turkestan. This was disguised behind claims of countering a supposed terrorist threat from that territory. In truth it had another object. As with Tibet, this was to eliminate the indigenous cultural identity and replace it with a Han Chinese mindset. But how does China realize such a goal? Through fear, torture, forced labor camps, mass surveillance systems and a dystopian social engineering program, which has resulted in over 1 million or more Uyghurs being rounded up and sent to concentration camps. There they are subjected to intense ideological indoctrination and forced to learn and speak only Chinese. A process described as thought reform. A euphemism for the deliberate breaking down of a person's cultural identity through psychological and physical coercion. With so many Uyghur women and men locked away, what fate has fallen upon their children? Now denied their parents, traumatized infants and older children are being swept up by the Chinese authorities and detained in secure facilities. They are forced into uniforms, often red and yellow themed, the colors of the Chinese flag. Held in overcrowded dormitories each day they suffer a program of Sinofication, made like their jailed families to speak the language of their oppressor. They are told that the Chinese government is their mother and father. Each passing day Chinese music is pumped throughout the building, its walls decorated with images of Xi Jinping. What food they are rationed is of course Chinese. There is no relief, children are being bullied and brainwashed incessantly. Violence and cruelty is inflicted regularly. Video evidence of this reaches social media often and it's deeply harrowing viewing. A 3-year-old Uyghur boy ordered to stand up and shout loudly and repeatedly the name of the Chinese president. The pain, fear and confusion in that toddler's eyes are a haunting image. It is abuse on a massive scale, families torn apart by order of the Chinese state. Children's minds forever broken, psychological damage and emotionally wrecked. Operation Tibet considers such gross violence and abuse of children merits urgent attention, opposition and exposure from fellow Anonymous. Any and all forms of cruelty and violations against children must be challenged. Now, you would expect that those organizations active on children's rights would be all over this, right? Well, not really. Let's take the example of Save the Children, who we see are being constantly lobbied by Tibet Truth to take action and speak out against China's mass abuse of Uyghur children. View their online presence and you will find it hard to see any expression of concern or mention of the plight of Uyghur children. Yet we know from reports by Tibet Truth that Save the Children have been provided information on this issue, their global offices and executives sent appeals. But silence remains. That is not good enough, and that they choose to say nothing, while running programs in China, and so we learned inside East Turkestan, exposes them to the charge of complicity. It's indefensible that a global organization dedicated to the welfare of children refuses to criticize the Chinese authorities for its abuse of Uyghur children. Then again, when you see how much money is sloshing around Save the Children, and where such funds are coming from, is it that surprising that it prioritizes its own interests over the terrorized children of East Turkestan? Here's a few of its prominent sponsors: BlackRock, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, PepsiCo Foundation, the Walt Disney Company, Apple, and Google. Corporations having profitable relations with China. Given this ongoing evasion and self-censorship, which is in effect an endorsement of the abuses inflicted upon Uyghur children, Operation Tibet invites fellow Anonymous to examine Save the Children as a legitimate target for future action. We are anonymous. We don't forget. We are Legion.